A lot of families feel like they're alone in the recruiting process, and they are the only ones suffering from the same problems and pain that they're going through. And after this video, I feel as though you will not feel the same way about that. This is my client Ethan and his mother Mina going over the process of how we worked with them and how we took them from taking bad advice and going in the wrong direction in the recruiting process, working with a company that didn't do anything for them, to ending up being committed in 41 days, which I'd like to repeat how crazy that is. From the time they signed up to work with us to the time that he committed, it was a total of 41 days. This will probably be the most relatable video you will ever watch when it comes to the college recruiting process. Ethan and Mina do a great job of explaining how we work with our clients, the dynamic of communication, and how they ultimately ended up with the result of committing to a good fit school, again, in 41 days. So without further ado, let's jump into the video.
Before we were with you guys, we were just trying to put together tape and stuff like that. At the beginning of it, we were just trying to put together tape. And then we tried reaching out to emailing coaches and stuff, but we rarely got barely any responses. And then when we started using you guys, that's when really coaches really started responding and stuff like that. And that's how I got, offers in general, because they saw my game tape and then they're let's hop on a call. We like what we see. So
Gotcha. What were you guys using to reach out? You guys were using another service, correct?
Yes, we were using NCSA.
Okay, what was that experience like for you guys as compared to when you first started with them? What were you expecting versus how it ended up going, and how long were you guys with them?
With them, it was I think it's something where they just put our children names in the data, and nobody, if you text them and email them, man, it took forever for anybody to respond to you. And it was but why are we paying for the services, and then we, can't get the services that we ask, we pay for, and we'll ask questions. It will take forever for them to get back to us. Sometimes they wouldn't even answer the questions. So it was a daunting task. And one day I decided to go online and look for OnSign, because we're lost. We didn't know what to do, because this kid is a post-grad kid, right? And then we looked, he graduated high school with 3.9 GPA. So me and his dad knew that he loved this game. That's why he was trying to take a gap year for him to play basketball. So we knew that we were going to support our son. That's why whatever it took, we did whatever it took for him to get what he needed to get. And we knew he could play too. It's not just somebody who we just parents can be biased, but
yeah, I get
whatever.
That for sure.
So I didn't want to, because then if we did that to him, we didn't love him. To tell him, oh, you're good. But people told us that he was very good. So we didn't look at make him feel that he was something that he was not, And so that's what we reached out to NCSA. And then when we saw we're not getting nowhere, plus the school he was playing with, the coach was very, very, very disrespectful to him. I don't know for what reason. I don't understand why. He didn't do nothing to this woman. I don't care what Ethan did. It wasn't sufficient.
Right.
And because of that, he didn't get as much playing time. Whenever she put him on the court, Ethan would give her numbers and do everything she asked him. But
yeah, I remember seeing him come in when you would send it to us, the numbers you were sending when he would play. Yeah, I remember.
She would pull him and pull it back away from him. Because she would give it and she'd pull it back, pull and give it back. Why are you doing this? So we said, we don't know what, we had doubts that he was going to get recruited until I went online and we're looking for OnSign camps, because the season was almost over. We didn't get no calls for no coaches and stuff like that. We had NCSA, and NCSA will call us sometimes and say, oh, we got this other school looking and stuff like that. But some of the places were sitting on 10 hours away, 18 hours away and stuff like that. The guy was, sending us stuff to say, oh, you guys wanted to see if you like the school and stuff like that. Sometimes they didn't have his major that he wanted to. And so I decided, I said, let me go look at the OnSign camps. And that's when I saw your name. And I'm like, okay, Ethan, reach out to these people and see if they can help us. And that's how, everything changed from there on.
Yeah, gotcha. So I know obviously it was a bunch of bad situations lined up over and over, probably a lot of money invested in other places. So
Mhm.
obviously going into investing more money, that requires some level of trust and like knowing that it's going to work. What made you guys decide? Obviously you spoke with Nick at first. What made you guys decide, like, we're willing to invest more in this company and this is the team to help us do it? Like, what kind of pushed you guys over the edge to go in and trust another company and work with you guys?
It was Ethan. Ethan saw that. He said, "Mom, I think because I think he went and read your reviews and stuff like that." And
Mhm.
he said, "Mom, I think this is going to work." But then his father was a little like hesitant because he's like, "I put all this money up. I pay for postgrad school. I pay for NCSA. You're talking over $30,000. We talk here within a year."
Mhm.
So he's
Mhm.
like, "I don't think this." He walked away. He said, "I don't know." I don't know, but I listened to Ethan because he knows what he wants.
Mhm.
If we're gonna support him, let's support him 100%. And we knew he was doing what we asked, everything we asked this child to do. I'm telling you, you know me.
Mhm.
Everything we asked him to do, he did everything we asked him to do.
Mhm.
So when his dad walked away, my intuition told me that was the right decision. Me as his mother.
Mhm.
When he said, "Mom, it's gonna be okay," he said, "I think these guys can help me." So I said, "Okay, I'll listen to our son." So we even made a call with Nate for Nate. His dad said he wanted to ask questions and stuff like that. But when he saw the price, it's like, "I don't know if I want to do this." I said, "Rob, I
Mhm.
want to take the chance." I said, "I wanted to take the chance," and it worked. And I want to
Yeah.
thank God from the bottom of my heart. From the bottom of my heart, I want to thank you guys because
Yeah.
we didn't know what was going to happen, with prayers, and you guys came on. And the game changer was when one of these questions there, to me, it was a distraction, even though we're giving him offers and stuff like that. But I think was based on what they saw other people doing, they really didn't mean what they were saying, some of them. The
Mhm.
class got called that night, was supposed to leave the next morning to go to his to go to see the guy, right, at Farmington University. And
Mhm.
then text him that night and said, "Oh, I don't need your service no more, blah, blah, blah." And he's all stressed and stuff like that. So, but I've been saying that to Ethan. When you guys came on that night and talked to us 9 o'clock in the night, that was a game changer right there. Because NCSA never did that for us. When we called in, they never responded to us. Whenever Ethan texted Nick, even if he didn't have the answer for Ethan, he would tell me, "Let me go talk to Troy and I'll get back to you." But
Yeah.
when you guys got on that phone with us that night and talked to us, that was it for me. That was the game changer for me.
Yes,
Because
ma'am.
9 o'clock in the night, who wants to be bothered with a kid 9 o'clock in the night for basketball? Who wants that? Who cares about that? Somebody who cares will
Mhm.
pick up that phone and talk. Because next time, "I'm not going to text you, I'm going to call you." I'm
Mhm.
like, "What?" And then you in the background they're talking to.
Mhm.
And that was it for us. That
Awesome.
was it for us. You hear me? I am so grateful for you guys. So, so, so grateful.
Yes, ma'am.
The
Yes.
little things that people don't think is important in life. You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
That's why it means a big thing for somebody else.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely.
Little things that people don't think is important, just by you guys taking that phone call, and you guys are on the phone with us for more than half an hour. That's a difference. I don't care about the dollar sign anymore. Your
Mhm.
service is up there.
Yes,
But
ma'am. Thank you
that's
so
all I
much.
got. Yes.
Thank you so much for that. And you're absolutely welcome. We try to do everything we can to help everybody. And if it means staying up at midnight, I can't tell you how many times we're up. We have
Yeah.
athletes that are overseas and the time difference. We're up at
Mhm.
1 a.m. talking to people. So at the end of the day, it's about the athlete making sure that their dreams are accomplished. Because it's not as much about recruiting and it's not as much about recruiting or money. At the end of the day, we're talking about a kid's future and what they're going to accomplish, not just with basketball, but afterwards. And that's what's most important to us. If we forget recruiting for a second, at the end of the day, it's about, a 17, 18, 19-year-old kid and seeing what they're going to do after high school into college. And then after that, making sure they're the right fit, because I've seen it so many times and I'm a great example of that. If you're not in a place to where you're at a good fit, you end up transferring, and the basketball kind of becomes a secondary thing. And now you're just worried about school. And sometimes that even falls out because you're not happy. So that's our biggest goal, is making sure you guys are happy, making sure that everything lines up. So not only the basketball stuff goes right, but the life stuff goes right after that. So, when he graduates, he gets a good education, he can end up getting a good job, or, ideally if he goes pro, that too. I'm all game for that too. I'd love to hear that story as well. But I really appreciate it. You guys are very welcome. We try to do everything we can for you guys, and you guys are one of our best clients. You guys are awesome. So
Thank you.
you're very, very welcome. So I know it was like, I think 41 days when y'all signed up, 41 days before you ended up committing to Rivier. So what was kind of the scale of that? So I know things started to pick up really, really fast. How many offers did we end up with? And then how quickly did we end up committing to Rivier? I know we had that long conversation about it that one night you were talking about.
Ultimately, I had 5. I had Rivier, Bloomfield College, Clark University, UMaine Farmington, and Hilbert College.
Right.
And what made the deciding factor with Rivier was I kind of messed with the coach. First of all, he saw me play in person. And he was like, yeah, this kid needs to be on the team immediately and get play time, because I obviously can help out. And it's way different than seeing someone play in person is different than seeing someone play on tape.
Absolutely.
You know what the guy said? The guy from Riviera. The guy says, we had 2 days of camp here. He said, your son was the best. The 2 days we had here, we have 50 kids, and this is the best that was among them. He said, they gotta give us money, give us scholarship. He give us. It's a D3 school. Usually they don't give people money like that. He gave almost $30,000 worth towards his tuition. Because to see him here, the head coach, both of them see him play in person. That's the difference compared to other guys or other coaches that are just looking at films and stuff like that and betting on But the thing is, the guy was just like, yo, whenever we call Coach Bruce and talk to one of us, ask Coach Bruce questions, he was always available. And then Ethan says, Mom, when I went for the camp, he said, something happened to me. I said, what? He said, I felt this was the right place for me. And he said, I felt free. He said, I felt free. He said, something came over me, and I felt this is where I belong when I was playing. That's why I did. So because I was free, I was allowed to do whatever I wanted to do, and that made me feel good. And that's why I'm in choosing this school. But first, when good things happen, when you have a lot of bad things happen to you in life, sometimes when you see the good, you're blinded to it because you're so used to people turning you down, disappointing you, and doing all sorts of things to you. So when you see the right thing, sometimes you're blinded to it. We took forever. And the crazy thing is, this man waited for us for more than 3 weeks to say, you're going to explore whatever you want to explore. We're here waiting for you. That's the beautiful thing.
Yeah, and that's the one we were talking about on the phone where he was calling you, wishing you Happy Mother's Day.
Yes.
That's the kind of stuff that stands out. You want to go to a place that's a great fit, not only academically, athletically, but it feels more like a family instead of going to a job every day, right? And that's what it sounded like to me on the phone, because I know it walked me through actually a little bit. I know obviously I had the conversation, but it sounds better coming from your perspective. When we were on that call, we were talking about a lot of different things. You had one that was talking about, potentially giving Ethan an offer in the future, but we're already getting late in the process, and he was talking about waiting and waiting. So what was there anything that we said that helped you guys move forward with that decision? Was there anything in particular, or?
When you guys said, right, when I told you how this guy called back Mother's Day and how he giving all this money and stuff towards his tuition and stuff like that, you guys said, but you have your answers right there. Why
Yep.
We think it's a good fit, but it's up to you to make that decision, as what you said. You said it's a good fit. For what you're telling me, I think it's a good fit right there. So
yeah, absolutely.
But again, if you guys are not called that day back, I don't know if we have made a decision that we made. But that's why you guys coming on the phone and talking to us that night. it made the process and the decision way, way easier because we felt we got it from people who had the expertise, who had the knowledge, and who had the experience that we were looking for to give us the advice we needed to go forward with whatever decision we're going to make. And with MCSA, I don't think we're going to get what you guys give us that night. I'm telling you, that was a game changer.
Thank you very much. I
You're
appreciate that.
welcome.
I'm very, very happy we could help you guys. So
Mhm.
I'm not going to keep you guys too incredibly long. I just got a couple of more things to ask you. So number one, like 3 more questions. How does it feel knowing now, like compared to where you were at the beginning of the process versus now knowing that Ethan has, his college home locked in? If you guys both want to answer, just one of you, that's fine too.
I feel great. Like more relieved than like it's relieved. I feel great. Yeah, it's just a blessing to be honest with you. I want to thank you for you guys, which for everything you guys done. So
Yeah, absolutely. Was there anything that I know mostly in your current situation, it was just Nick happened to be the one that was answering a lot of your questions because you guys were texting him, talking to
yeah,
him. Was there anything he was doing in particular that stood out that helped you guys, whether it was just making the decision, responding to coaches, whatever it may be?
Encouraging. That one
Mhm.
time, right? So I texted Nate and we were talking from one to another. He said, "Oh, send me all the schools." I was telling him the schools that Ethan had been accepted into the colleges. And he says, I said, send him all he said, send me all the schools so we can try to send emails to the coaches and see what, if they're gonna. And I says, okay. I said, well, maybe they're not gonna want him. He said, stop saying that. You never know. So positivity.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
He
Mindset's
said,
most of the
we so
battle.
we do positive here. We don't do no negative. We do positive. We got to think positive. Nothing is impossible, he said to me. And I said, okay, that's what stood out to me because that's my mindset. But when your back is against the wall, right? And
Mhm.
you think about stuff, so you have doubts sometimes and thinking and stuff like that. But if somebody come back and you say, hey, we don't do negative here. We do positive. We got to think positive. And that's what he
Mhm.
did. That stood up with me because that's me. I'm a positive person, but my back was against the wall.
Mhm.
My
Yeah,
back was against the wall.
gets stressful for sure.
Mhm.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know Ethan was talking to him a lot about helping respond with coaches. There was one text in particular he was showing me. He asked me about it, and it was how to respond to, I think it was Hilbert, maybe. It was either Hilbert or Rivier, I can't remember. But I know he said, "How do I respond to this?" And a few days later, you were like, got an offer from Hilbert. So I was extremely happy that those go through.
yeah.
Usually we try to put everything in play to where it moves forward and doesn't just kind of make the whole conversation stagnant. So we're very happy that turned out. And then, okay, so one last question for you guys. This is open-ended. You guys can answer it however you want, as honest as you want. For parents who are on the fence about working with us, or just parents in general who are maybe wanting more information about us, whatever it may be, is there anything you would tell them based on your experience that would help them make a decision to, whether it's to work with us or not work with us, that would help them make that decision confidently?
1,000%. Um, Again, the services you guys offer on hands with the kids, you know what I mean? Responding to the kids, encouraging them. Um, we as parents will look at a dollar sign, but if
Mhm.
something were to plateau your child to get to the next level, you never know what's going to happen. Like for
Mhm.
Ethan's situation, all this stuff that happened, you guys did with Ethan, and all this stuff with God first, right?
Mhm.
Do you know at school, all the kids look at Ethan and say he's an inspiration to them.
That's amazing.
He's an inspiration to them. Yesterday, they had a graduation yesterday, went over there, and they were all saying that he's an inspiration. One of the kids said to Ethan, bro, do you know when you got your first offer? He said, I was in the car when I saw that stuff come, the fee come up. Ethan Hayes, because they knew that he never got enough in playing time. They didn't get playing time. And the coach was mean to him. All the kids and all of them knew that. The kid said, I started shaking. I started shaking because I could not believe what I saw. That's persistent and hard work, and we got the right people around you. It always pays off God first.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
So your
Well,
service, what you did for us, we are very beyond grateful. Parents shouldn't just look at the dollar signs. help your kid get to their dreams and aspirations, and you guys are here to help children. Guys, of course, we're looking at a dollar sign, but look what happened within 41 days. What happened?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am. You ended up committing to Rivier.
Yeah.
Yeah. School where the coach was calling you on Mother's Day, which
Exactly.
is not the most common thing I've ever heard. Like that's pretty rare. Yeah.
When the guy texted, I said, I'm not going to text the guy. I said, I'm going to talk to him. When I talked to him, he said, this is different.
Mhm.
I said, I'm so happy to tell your mother and tell your wife. I said, Happy Mother's Day. And I thank you. I said, people knew you shouldn't do that. You did that. You're exceptional. So I am so grateful.
Yes, ma'am. Yes,
Yeah.
ma'am. Well, guys, I won't keep you on here all day. I know you guys are super busy. I'm really appreciative that you would hop on this call and kind of give some info out that we can use for other parents who are maybe on the fence and things they want to know. So do you guys have any last thing you want to say before we hop off here and I let you guys go?
No. So let me ask you a question. When in college, can he call you guys if you need to talk to you guys and stuff like that? To see what he can do with communicating with the coach and stuff like that? Will you guys still be available to like maybe, if he has questions, because I won't have answers for some of the questions that he may have. So, I'm just asking.
Yes, ma'am. Absolutely. So when you come on as Apex, you're not a client, you're not an athlete or a family we work with, you're pretty much family. As long as you have our number, you can feel free to reach out at any time. We'll be more than happy to help you with anything you need.
Thank you very, very much. We appreciate you from the bottom of my heart, from the bottom of my heart. Because
yes, ma'am.
We didn't know where we're going. We didn't know what was going to happen. We didn't know. And
yes, ma'am.
they had nobody would get in touch with us. Nobody could answer questions. And what you guys did that night is the game changer right there. And you guys continue to do that. It will change a lot of lives. And
yes, ma'am.
Thank you guys for being part of this journey. Because
yes,
this is a journey we've been on for 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
And we will end up with you guys. I thank you from the bottom of my heart.
And that is Ethan and Mina explaining how the recruiting process went from the time that they joined Apex to the time that Ethan committed. And if you want to learn more about this completely done for you college recruiting service, my highest level of service, Apex, I'm going to leave a link down in the description of this video. Click on that and there's a video on the next page that will give you more information.